Max Verstappen now holds the record for the most race wins in a single Formula 1 season. He's also won the most points in a single season in Formula 1 history. This weekend was meant to be a celebration of what Red Bull and Max have achieved. Instead, the big story of the weekend was Max Verstappen and Red Bull finally saying enough is enough to Sky Sports. What's pushed him over the edge? Who is in the wrong? Let's find out. At the Mexican Grand Prix, Max Verstappen and the entire Red Bull team finally said enough is enough to Sky Sports F1 and decided to boycott the channel for the Mexican Grand Prix. Listening to the Sky Sports on-air talent bash Max's 2 world championships and the Red Bull team as a whole was getting tiring for the fans. For Max and Red Bull, it must have been disappointing, infuriating, and honestly, just insulting. This is going to be a polarizing subject for a number of reasons, so let's start off by saying, no matter what side of this you are on, there is a serious discussion to be had about the state of Formula 1 media and how partisan supporters are becoming. As you can tell from my voice, I'm British myself, and I grew up watching Lewis Hamilton dominate Formula 1 for many years, and I love to see British drivers succeed. That doesn't mean I can't appreciate the achievements of other drivers though, or formulate and offer unbiased opinions on the state of Formula 1. We like to think that we've built this channel on unbiased commentaries on Formula 1's technical and political side. We'll aim to give an unbiased view on this boycott. If you disagree, again, let us know in the comments. But as always, let's make the discussion productive. With that said, let's talk about Sky Sports Formula 1 coverage and why the Red Bull team are boycotting it. Sky Sports Formula 1 coverage has always been biased towards British drivers, at times to the point of self-parody. It has produced plenty of memes and has been the constant punchline of jokes about Sky's coverage of the sport. The last 2 seasons though, it started across a line. We spend a lot of time on Formula 1 forums trying to keep an eye on the opinions of fans, so we can produce the videos you all want to watch. In our view, the public opinion on Sky's British bias seems to be shifting, and people are getting bored of it. Let me know in the comments if you think that's right or not. Maybe we're completely wrong. The shift in opinion has coincided with Lewis Hamilton losing his vice-like grip on the sport and the rise of Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton was loved by the English media during the turbo hybrid era, and rightly so. He dominated the sport, he was an incredible driver, and he was outspoken about important matters, using his position of power to the advantage of the sport and the world. Sky Sports is first and foremost a British broadcasting channel as well, and pretty much every personality on the team is British. Most of them have been with the channel throughout Lewis's period of domination as well, and are fans of his. That isn't a problem. You want people who are fans presenting the coverage, as they get excited and passionate, and that comes through in their performances. But as broadcasters, they have to be able to stay objective. Some Sky Sports presenters have lost their objectivity, and have instead become part of the problem with Formula 1 at the moment, the polarizing of the fan base. Though Red Bull have not named any particular on-air personality, it is pretty obvious which person overstepped the line and pushed Red Bull to this. Ted Kravitz has in the past made his feelings on the 2021 season finale well known. The British pit lane reporter saying at the time that then race director Michael Massey gave the title to Verstappen. He questioned whether it was a conspiracy, saying the ultimate question is, would Michael Massey have made the same decision had it been Max Verstappen in the lead on old knackered hard tyres and Lewis Hamilton behind on fresh soft tyres? The point that Ted Kravitz went too far was at the American Grand Prix. I'll tell you what he said, and then you can let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. 7-time world champion, I almost said 8-time world champion, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton goes into the final race trying to be the greatest of all time and win the championship. He gets robbed, comes back, his next year car is rubbish, doesn't win a race all year, and then finally comes back at a track where he could win the first race all year. Is battling with the same guy, Verstappen, who won the race that he was robbed in, Abu Dhabi, in the previous year, and manages to finish ahead of him. What a script and a story that would have been. Because the guy that beat him after being robbed actually overtook him. Because he's got a quicker car. Because of engineering and Formula 1 and design, and pretty much because of Adrian Newey, Red Bull's design guru, over there. There is a lot wrong with this, and we can spend the next 10 minutes picking apart the whole thing, but that really isn't necessary. As a professional broadcaster, you should be allowed to support someone. What you should not do though is express that support by disrespecting a direct competitor. Do you think Ted would continue featuring drivers in his segments if they constantly questioned how he had got his job? Absolutely not. Ted is within his rights to share an opinion, but the way he's spoken about Max Verstappen and Red Bull and the blatant contempt he has for the team has gone too far. Max did explain his reasoning for the boycott and said it wasn't just this one comment from the Sky coverage that made him make this decision. It is the broadcaster's history of bias this season. It had nothing to do with this weekend, but this year it's been a constant kind of like digging, being disrespectful, especially one particular person, Verstappen said. And at one point it is enough. I don't accept it. You can't live in the past. You just have to move on. At the moment, social media is a very toxic place, and if you're constantly being like that on live TV, you make it constantly worse, instead of trying to make it better in the world. You keep disrespecting me, and at one point, I'm not tolerating it anymore. So that's why I decided to stop answering. Verstappen's statement raises the most important point of this whole boycott. Yes, the disrespect and belittling of Verstappen's achievements is awful and needs to stop. But the stoking of flames of discontent around the Formula 1 fanbase is worse. Small parts of the Formula 1 fanbase are becoming partisan to an unhealthy extreme. We've joked on this channel about Formula 1 Twitter being incredibly toxic in the past, but it is a serious problem. The abuse of drivers and team members on social media has spiraled to unacceptable levels. And when the Formula 1 broadcasters are feeding into that with an audience of millions, that is a problem. Small sections of the Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fanbase in particular have clashed over the result of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the knock-on effect on the Drivers' Championship that year. Red Bull breaching the cost cap in 2021 has not helped that either. Christian Horner also shared his reasoning behind the Sky boycott. We're disappointed with a series of derogatory comments that has been made on Sky, so we felt this weekend we'd take a break, and that it wouldn't do Sky any harm us taking a break. There needs to be a balance in commentary. Some of the commentary is excellent, but some of the pieces, there's too much sensationalization being done. We stand together as a team. It's not just Sky UK, it's been across all the Sky channels in Germany and Italy. Christian raises a point that not all the commentary is as biased as Ted's. Martin Brundle comes to mind as someone who's constantly trying to bring objectivity to the Sky broadcast. David Croft has a British bias during his commentary, certainly not to the level that Ted Kravitz has gone. And when he's in the commentary box with Martin Brundle, Martin regularly offers the other side of points that Crofty makes, which may be unfairly biased. In that situation though, the bias is fine. It creates a conversation and gives two sides to an argument. Due to Ted's role as a pit lane reporter though, there is rarely someone there to offer a counter-argument. Even if there was, its comments would still go too far at times. This isn't so much a problem of Sky having a bias towards Lewis Hamilton. All of the broadcasting stations have a bias towards the drivers from their country, because their viewers are probably supporters of a driver from that country. The problem is that comments like Ted's feed the toxicity of a small section of fans. As a broadcaster, you have a responsibility to not fuel that online toxic behavior, and members of the Sky broadcast team have failed to do that. Whether you're a fan of Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, or any other driver on the grid, we hope you can understand Red Bull's stance. The disrespect isn't right, the belittling of a driver's achievements isn't right, and fueling the toxicity of small parts of the Formula 1 fanbase is not right. Online abuse has to be stopped, and Sky have a responsibility to be a part of that, something they failed to do this year. Want to know more about what's happening in Formula 1? Then click the link on your screen and I'll see you there.